In 1884, an enormous painting arrived in Madrid, Spain, for an exhibition of fine art. It was nearly 8 meters or 25 feet wide, one of the largest canvases anyone had seen. It depicted ancient Rome, fallen gladiators being dragged into darkness, their bodies stripped, their dignity erased. The critics were stunned. They called it terrifying, magnificent, and unlike anything else in the exhibition. But behind the praise, something else was happening. Secret conversations and glances were being exchanged across the room. Not everyone was looking at ancient Rome. Some people saw something different, something the Spanish judges had missed completely. What happened next transformed this monumental painting into a symbol of hope for an entire nation. This painting is titled Spoliarium, and it was painted by Juan Luna. Luna was born in 1857 in the town of Badoc in the northern Philippines. At the time of his birth, his country had been a Spanish colony for nearly 300 years. The Spanish called the native Filipinos Indios, a term loaded with contempt. They were seen as colonial subjects, supposedly incapable of civilization, culture, or intellectual achievement. Luna grew up watching his people being treated as inferior beings in their own land. The Spanish friars controlled education, and the colonial government controlled everything else. But Luna's family had some means, and they saw something in him. He showed talent for drawing from an early age, and his teacher, Lorenzo Guerrero, recognized his gift and urged him to go to Europe. In 1877, Luna sailed for Spain with his brother Manuel, and he enrolled at the Royal Academy of Fine Arts in Madrid. And there, something unexpected happened. His new teacher, the Spanish painter Alejo Vera, was so impressed with Luna that he took him to Rome. For the first time, Luna saw the masterpieces of Michelangelo, Raphael, and the other great painters of the Renaissance. He was an Indio from the colonies, standing in the Sistine Chapel. It's there that he realized that he could do this too. In 1881, Luna submitted his first major work to the Madrid Exposition of Fine Arts, The Death of Cleopatra. It won a silver medal, narrowly missing gold by just 3 votes. It's now one of just 3 paintings by Filipino artists at the Prado Museum in Madrid. The Spanish art world took notice. Who was this young, talented Filipino? Luna returned to Rome and began working on something much larger, something that would take him 8 months to complete. He stretched the canvas nearly 8 meters wide and over 4 meters tall, the largest painting he would ever create. At the center of this dark scene, 2 lifeless bodies are being dragged across the stone floor. These are gladiators who have just died in the arena above, killed for the entertainment of the crowd. Their armor is being stripped away. Whatever glory they had in life is being erased. On the left side, scavengers wait to claim whatever possessions remain. One Roman in the foreground lunges forward, pushing another one back. On the right, a woman collapses in grief, mourning someone she has lost. A person who appears to be an old man searches through the shadows, looking for his son among the dead. Above them all, a haze of smoke and dim light. You can almost smell the stench of death in this godforsaken space. And then there's the indifference of the crowd in the background, which adds an extra dimension of cruelty to this horrific scene. This was the Spoliarium, the place where the spectacle ended and entertainers became corpses, where human beings became garbage. Luna painted it with brutal honesty. The chiaroscuro, the contrast between light and dark, pulls our eyes to the bodies, to the grief, to the horror. But here's what makes this painting more than just a historical scene. The Philippines had been a Spanish colony since 1565. That's well over 3 centuries of exploitation. Filipino farmers worked on land owned by Spanish friars, and Filipino taxes funded a colonial government that treated them as second-class citizens. Juan Luna was painting a scene in ancient Rome, but he was also painting the Philippines. The gladiators weren't just ancient warriors, they were his people fighting for the entertainment of their colonizers, only to be discarded when they were no longer useful. Obviously, Luna never said this explicitly. He couldn't. A direct criticism of Spanish rule would have meant imprisonment, exile, or death. But his fellow countrymen? They understood. In May 1884, Luna shipped a massive canvas to Madrid for the Exposición Nacional de Bellas Artes. Spanish critics raved about it. The largest work, the most frightful, the most discussed work of the exposition, one wrote. "It is more than a painting," said another. "It is a book, a poem." And then the judges announced their decision. Juan Luna had won the first gold medal. Think about that for a moment. A Filipino, an Indio, a member of a race the Spanish considered barely civilized, had just beaten the best painters in Spain. And he had done it with a painting about bodies being stripped and discarded by an empire. The irony was staggering, but not everyone saw it at the time. The Spanish judges admired the technique, the composition, and the dramatic lighting. They saw ancient Rome. The Filipinos in Madrid, on the other hand, saw something different. On June 25, 1884, a celebration was held at the restaurant Ingles in Madrid. Some Filipinos gathered to honor Luna and his fellow artist Hidalgo, who had won a silver medal. And there, a young medical student stood up to give a toast. His name was José Rizal. Rizal would later become the Philippines' national hero. He was executed by the Spanish in 1896 for inspiring a revolution. But in 1884, he was just 23 years old, and he watched his friend receive the highest artistic honor in Spain. And he used the occasion to say something dangerous. Rizal praised Luna and Hidalgo as proof that Filipinos were the equals of Spaniards. "Genius has no country," he declared. "Genius blossoms everywhere." Then he turned to the painting itself. "In Spoliarium," Rizal said, "through that canvas one hears the noise of the crowd, the shouts of the slave, the metallic clunking of the dead man's armor, the sobbing of orphans, the murmured prayers." He continued by saying that the painting is a mirror of our social, moral, and political life, humanity unredeemed, reason and aspiration in open fight with prejudice, fanaticism, and injustice. Another speaker at the banquet, the journalist Graziano Lopez Jaena, was even more direct. "The Philippines," he said, "is nothing more than a real spoliarium with all its horrors." Now the painting's true meaning was spoken aloud. The colonized had won the colonizers' highest prize, and they used it to indict them. Word of Rizal's speech spread. Some Spaniards began calling him a filibustero, a revolutionary. His own mother, back in the Philippines, wrote to him in anguish, fearing he would never be able to come home. She was right to worry. But in that moment, something had shifted. A painting had become a manifesto. Now here's where it gets even more remarkable. Despite the obvious political implications of spoliarium, there was another honor the painting might have received, the Medal of Honor. This was a rare distinction given to the single best work in the entire exposition. Many expected Luna to receive it. After all, he had already won gold, and the critics were unanimous in their praise. But the jury decided not to award the Medal of Honor that year. Some historians believe the reason was simple. The Spanish establishment could not bring itself to elevate an Indio above their own. A gold medal was acceptable, but the highest honor of all? That would mean admitting that the colonial subject had surpassed his masters. So they simply didn't give it. Luna didn't complain though. He had already made his point. The painting was purchased by the provincial government of Barcelona for 20,000 pesetas, a fortune at the time. It hung in the Museo del Arte Moderno in Barcelona until the Spanish Civil War, when the museum was burned and looted in 1937. Under orders from General Franco, the damaged canvas was sent to Madrid for restoration, where it stayed for 18 years. But let's go back to what the painting ignited several decades earlier. In the early 1890s, the revolution that Rizal had foreshadowed was gathering force. In 1892, a warehouse clerk named Andres Bonifacio founded a secret society called the Katipunan. Its ultimate goal was simple: complete independence from Spain through armed revolt. Bonifacio and his followers had absorbed the ideas of the propaganda movement, the intellectual campaign for reform that Rizal, Luna, and others had been waging from Europe. They had read Rizal's novels, which exposed the corruption and cruelty of Spanish colonial rule. They had also heard about Luna's triumph in Madrid and understood what spoliarium really meant. In August 1896, the Katipunan's existence was discovered by the Spanish authorities, and Bonifacio issued a call for armed revolution. The Philippine Revolution had begun, and Juan Luna himself was deeply involved in it. In September 1896, he and his brother Antonio were arrested by Spanish authorities for suspected involvement with the Katipunan. Imprisoned, Luna pointed to his earlier painting, España y Filipinas, which showed allegorical figures of Spain and the Philippines walking together toward progress. He introduced this as proof of his loyalty, and remarkably, he was eventually pardoned and released. It wasn't the first time he landed in prison though. In 1892, when he was living and working in Paris, he fatally shot his wife Maria and his mother-in-law. He had accused her of adultery. He kind of had a hot temper. Because of an unwritten law at the time in France, he was acquitted because they considered it a crime of passion. It's quite unbelievable, but just months after this fatal incident, he was a free man. The stress of the revolution and frequent travels during the late 19th century weighed on him though. Luna died in 1899 in Hong Kong from a heart attack. He was just 42 years old. In the 1950s, after decades of appeals from Filipinos and sympathetic Spaniards, General Franco finally agreed to return spoliarium to the Philippines. Today, it's the ultimate masterpiece at the National Museum of Fine Arts in Manila. It has become a symbol of national identity, resistance, and pride. Look at the bodies being dragged across the floor and the grief of those who loved them, and then the indifference of those watching. The Spanish judges saw a historical scene, while Filipinos saw their homeland. Both were looking at the same canvas, and that's where the power of this magnificent work of art lies. José Rizal would be executed by firing squad on December 30, 1896. His death united Filipinos against Spanish rule like nothing else. But before he died, Rizal wrote a novel called Noli Me Tangere, or Touch Me Not. He later said he had been inspired to write it after seeing Spoliarium. Thanks for watching until the end, and I'll see you in the next video.